That's right. Welcome in, welcome back, folks, to a USA Today Fighting Irish Wire interview with Nick Shepkowski edition of the Always Irish Show. As always, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up if you approve of the content. Appreciate that as well. Notifications on. You'll be alerted every time a new episode drops. Twitter, search bar Always Irish or at Always Irishing. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want me. You can find me. Call in line 312-900-8815. Welcome in, folks. Thanks for being here. Camp is right around the corner. Football's almost here. You could feel it in the Midwest summer air. Now is the perfect time to catch up with at Nick Shepkowski on Twitter. You'll know him from 670 The Score Lore and current managing editor of USA Today at Irish Wire ND. Nicky the Kid, welcome in, brother.
Hey, it's been too long. It's only been a couple of weeks, but it's felt like it's too damn long. And it's just, you start with it. That's right. I can't help but get a grin on my face. Football season is damn near upon us. It's media day for those teams that are suckers and have to be followers of everyone and sit in those stupid conferences that I don't ever want to be a part of still. But if there's good news of that, it means that college football is that light's getting brighter and brighter and brighter at the end of the tunnel. And damn it, we're almost to September.
Here's the thing, though, Nick. Here's the thing. Notre Dame kind of had their own conference media day, and it was Marcus hitting every big national spot there is. Like, that's where you see the Notre Dame effect. Like, they're not all in one room being interviewed and then whatever. That was our national, conference media day, making the national rounds. And speaking of that, Marcus Freeman said a couple of interesting things, maybe about, I don't know, the old guy and excuses being made around Notre Dame and why things aren't quite where we want them to be. What did you make of Marcus's media appearance here?
Oh, I mean, I feel bad for Marcus Freeman because it's like maybe I feel bad for us too, because it's like we're such in the honeymoon stage right now. That is like everything is just so great and so happy and so perfect. And it's like anything that happens short of 14-0 in a national championship is going to feel like, oh man, it's a letdown because everything he does is perfect and great. But the guy's a master with the media. Like, he knows how to handle that. He's got whether it's the video that comes out on Wednesday with the jersey release and just he seems like you could stick him in a movie script and he would be able to make it as an actor in ways. And then you put him in front of a camera, you put him in front of microphones and have the questions that you know are coming. And it's clearly something that he takes seriously. He doesn't make a fool out of himself. I mean, I couldn't help but I don't watch First Take ever. Dear God, things I make sure in my life not to allow myself to do, that's one of them. But when Marcus Freeman's on and he's being asked about conferences and he's being asked about ESPN's FPI, it's like he has an answer almost like a well-oiled politician would have thought out. He has it thought out. Hey, ESPN FPI says you only have a 16.5% chance of beating Ohio State. What do you say to that? Well, my number one rule is we don't look at ESPN FPI. There, how about that? I don't care. Your metric's stupid. It's dumb. It overrates Texas and Florida every year. I don't really give a damn about it. And I'm here to tell you that part. And he had an answer for everything. And I just can't help but think of like how polished he is and how smooth he is with a lot of this. Like, think back to Brian Kelly. There's multiple times where things stick out with how he dealt with the media. And ultimately, does that mean more wins or losses? I don't know. I don't have the right answer for you on that. But like, think of the end of the Florida State game last year when Kelly tried to quote the old Buccaneers coach and stumbled all over himself and had the uproar over that. And it just made like a kind of a foolish situation out of what was essentially nothing, just because he couldn't get out of his own way and stuff like that. And it's like, then you look at Freeman and you're like, God, that is just a well-polished machine, man. Like, I don't usually get much from coaches' interviews, from coaches' press conferences. It's usually a bunch of coach speak and the opponent you're playing is the greatest thing on earth and just a whole lot of nothing. But it's like there is actually something there. There's something of substance, and there's actually an opinion and a thought that's put into things, and it's a pleasant change.
Yeah, and even when he is doing that, it just comes off genuine, and that hits people different because you don't feel like you're getting general coach speak, general politician speak. I mean, it sometimes feels like there's four of him because you just see that every next picture he's in a different state or somewhere else doing something. So that's beautiful. I love the national hits he was doing, getting that Notre Dame thing out there at all the big outlets. Beautiful. Subtle dig, I think, saying, you know, we don't make excuses here. We have what we need to win. Like,
it's nice of you to put subtle in front of it because I don't think there's anything subtle about it. It's
you know, like I mean, I'm not trying to stir up anything this time with this. But I don't think
you have to. I think he did everything his own on that. If they take your excuses and tell your story walking, pal.
Well, the best part is all of those recruiting barrier excuses are being broken down every week we go on. They're being broken down more and more. So that's just the way it is. So I love it. So far, so good. But I've been saying on my show, we're about to get into what I call winning time, where all these summer storylines and the recruiting, good feelings and all that is about to be tested. And I think everybody's just getting a little antsy. You get by 4th of July and then the timer kind of starts for people. And I think we're ready to go. So that was good to see the national hits. I like that little dig at Kelly because it's just the way I am. I'm petty like that. Let's hit on this real quick. People are stressing out about rumors about Peyton Bowen and Keeley, going to check out old Saint Nick and what he's got going on down there. And Notre Dame people are nervous about that. I've seen it all over social media. I get it. Obviously, you don't want to see that. But I also think this is the new reality of Notre Dame's recruiting and where they're at. And if you want to be in the mix for the elite of the elite, we just need to expect this is going to happen. And people are never going to back off because the guy's verbally committed to Notre Dame. And so I just think this is our new reality. When you're going for the elites, you're going to have this. What's your take?
Well, yeah, you want to sit at the adults table for dinner. It might end up being a very great meal. It might be one of the most tasty meals you ever had. That doesn't mean your experience at the adult table is going to be a whole lot of fun while you eat that meal and you make that meal, however. And that's kind of the way that I look at big time recruiting. You want to be one of the big dogs in this thing. How many times do you see, if you turn on the Under Armour All-American game, what used to be the Army All-American game? You watch any of the videos of commitments making their pledges or commitments throughout this season and throughout the entire year, really. And what do you see? You see it coming down to finalists of Alabama and Georgia, and a commit to Georgia flipping to Alabama, and a commit to Florida flipping to LSU. And I mean, premier elite programs that, okay, just because a guy's committed doesn't mean that they're full on. And you can turn it the other way too. I know that the level of recruit's not the same, but you have a quarterback and a running back that are committed to Big 12 schools that are both on campus this week that just got offered by Notre Dame. Their verbal commitments elsewhere. You're going to do that to other guys. You're going to do that to other teams. You're going to do that elsewhere. You can't get all that upset when somebody else tries and comes and does it to you. Now, in terms of Keon Keeley, when you see Alabama, that one hits a little bit different. I know he's taken trips to Ohio State since he's made his verbal commitment to Notre Dame. He's taken a trip to Ohio State, taken a trip to Florida. There might be others in there as well that I'm forgetting. But when you see Alabama, when you see Nick Saban, you know damn well that, and I know that that Keeley's not the most active on social media compared to some of the other recruits. But you know what's coming with Nick Saban. You've heard the recruiting pitch that he always does. You walk in a room, there's Nick Saban. Here's his 8 or 9 championship rings that he has. Here's the draft board of players from his specific position that have been drafted in the last 10, 11 years. Here's the millions upon millions upon millions of dollars from the NFL that his players at Alabama have gone on to make. And when you hear that in person, when you're a truly top 5-star elite recruit like Keeley is, Like, that's hard to say no to. And so when you hear that, all right, going to be on an official visit to Alabama this weekend, that's where that one hits a little bit differently. And the concern level is, get the hell out of here, Saban. Like, don't you have enough? Like,
it's like, let us have a guy or two here, you know?
Can we get one of those just ass kickers that just gets around every tackle and is constantly a force in the backfield? Like Justin Tuck was a long damn time ago. Can we get one of those like true elite guys? Leave them hands off, man.
Yeah, and here's what I'm kind of starting to think big picture. Even if you were to lose some of these guys, not even just in this class, but just in theory overall in the next year, whatever. Yeah, that's frustrating. Nobody likes that. Like, that's just not ideal. But I need everybody to understand that even if that were to occur, we are still way, way further down the road to where we want to be under this recruiting operation than we were ever going to get with Swamp Thing down south. We just, okay, we just are. So even if you were to lose some of these, the net gain overall, it's going to pay off is what I'm saying. So even though it's frustrating to endure this, and if we were to lose a guy or two, everybody's going to freak out. We all need to know you're going to win more than you're going to lose with this guy in charge. And that's my big picture takeaway. This operation's so modern now and so aggressive and so communicative and on this, you're going to end up way ahead. So I think what we're seeing is we're not used to these elite recruiting stresses all the time, and we're seeing them. And I just think no matter how individual ones go, it's a sign of progress. It's heading in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, that's recruiting in college football in 2022 or 2023, if you want to put it in the year of this class. Like, that's welcome to what life is like. And I know that there was that hesitance, and it's like that fear of striking out keeps you from kind of grabbing the bat and getting in the batter's box a little bit. And that's what it seemed like Notre Dame did for a long time under Kelly was, all right, there's a lot of real good recruits that come in. How many truly elite guys are you talking? Like 5-star, consensus 5-star guys, like Jalen Smith was in that. It's also taken from your home state in Indiana. So it's not like that was like you pulled him out of Florida like Keeley would be. And it's just, yeah, there were those guys, but it wasn't a regular occurrence that you got those elite type players that could have 50, 60 scholarship offers to their name, and literally every Power 5 school is making an offer to because they would fit and they would apply them to their defense or offense, whichever way they could get them on the field. And Kelly didn't land a lot of those guys because I think there was almost that hesitance to get involved because of the embarrassment of failing with it, that you weren't really that ultimately a contender at the end for a lot of those dudes. And I mean, there you are with Keeley right now. And you knew once the ratings kind of came out, he committed June of last year. And once things started to kind of resort themselves and you started to see the numbers come out and like, holy cow, this guy's skyrocketing. Like this isn't just a, not run, not to say 4-star guys are run of the mill, but this isn't just a normal one of those guys. Like this is one of the absolute best in the country at his position. And it's no surprise whatsoever. Like Alabama's a knocking, and you can bet damn well that if Notre Dame ends up landing Keeley ultimately in this class and he ends up signing with the Irish, like it's going to be a recruiting process that goes down until signing day, until that letter of intent's actually signed, because that's just the way it works when you are dealing with these kind of players like Arch Manning. That's everyone knows who Arch Manning is in the recruiting world. He's Peyton and Eli's nephew, and he's the 5-star quarterback, top-ranked quarterback in all of college or all of high school that's going to be in that 2023 class. Yeah, he committed to Texas. Texas is still going to be spending, and Steve Sarkisian is going to be spending a hell of a lot of efforts and a hell of a lot of time in keeping that commitment. And that's just the way that it goes.
Yeah. And, it's almost it's a double-edged sword. I was thinking about this today. So you got guys like Bowen and Keeley, and so now Notre Dame fans are frustrated and upset, and everybody's messaging me, what's going on here? I don't like this. So you have that complaint. But the other end of the spectrum is Kelly filling out the roster with a bunch of 3.5 stars that no one else is coming after. And then all the fan base is mad about that too. because you don't have better talent, but nobody's going after them. So it's like you're going to be frustrated either way. It's just a changing frustration.
Well,
I would opt for the frustration of these elite guys. I just think in the long haul, you're going to win more and you're going to lose with this effort. And you just got to let it run its course.
And even if you do lose more than you win in terms of individual recruits that you're able to ultimately land, I mean, you're talking about, okay, you lose and the conversation is your top 5 or top 7 class. Yeah. When you were having those conversations of Kelly and that regime losing in recruiting, I mean, you're looking at like what are seniors, what are the upperclassmen with Notre Dame this coming year? You're looking at classes that were 15-ish ranked nationally in their recruiting halls. And I mean, love it or hate it, you're not going to win or compete for national championships if that's where the recruiting classes are at. It's just plain and simple. It's not going to happen. I don't care. You know, the best coach in the history of college football in the world developing talent. It's just not going to happen that way. It's not the way that this game works. If you want to have a seat at the table and be playing in January with a chance to win a title and actually have a chance, not just be in a playoff, but actually have a chance in those games and to win those games, you got to be a top 4, top 5 team with some semi-regularity in terms of recruiting. And okay, maybe you miss on a couple of these guys. Maybe you have a decommitment or 2 throughout the process. Okay, you're not 1, you're finishing 4 or 5 instead. That's a lot different than the feel of missing a guy or 2 or losing a guy or 2 and finishing 13th, 15th, or 17th or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. So I just think I put a video out earlier in the week just about this problem, saying this stress is good and it's a sign of progress. This is headed in the right direction. And, you know, it all kind of ties together. You briefly mentioned the Las Vegas video with the Golics and Mayer and Foskey and Freeman. And it's like, wow, what a cool production putting that together. Everybody's seen The Hangover. Like, it all makes sense. But I'm looking at what that signifies big picture. It just shows you how modern and creative Notre Dame's getting with everything, with the social media, with just everything. And it all adds up to help. It all adds up to help. I just think it helps recruiting. You know what else it helps, Nick? This is so stupid. But even just that little Las Vegas scene hangover thing helps knock some of the stuffy Notre Dame is no fun stuff off a little bit. And I even like that, you know, just the fact that it's a little more fun. And I just think it all helps. And I have comfort feeling like we're modern. And that's a big deal. And I always feel like Notre Dame's chasing. They're always a couple years, a couple steps behind whatever it is. And I feel like they've taken a big leap to get modern in a lot of areas that all funnel to help recruiting. Do you see it the same way?
Yeah, I do. And I mean, you look at that part of it and it's like, I think and I thought it right when, as soon as Kelly left and as soon as the rumors and the hope that Freeman was going to be hired as head coach, as soon as that kind of went down, my first thought was a lot of people that might semi-watch college football and consider themselves fringe college football fans, they have a feeling of Notre Dame, and their feeling with Notre Dame is they just dislike Notre Dame because it's Notre Dame, because it's whatever, the arrogance, the whatever happened 30 years ago. This,
holier than thou, all of that.
Right. And my whole thought through the Freeman process and the thought of Freeman being head coach was like, that is a guy that he is going to make a lot of people that have hated Notre Dame for a long time really uncomfortable, because he's going to do a lot of things and turn a lot of heads in positive ways. And people are going to be sitting there and thinking, God, I really
can't hate this guy. I want to hate this guy, but I can't.
Unless I'm a USC or Michigan fan, it's really damn hard to hate this dude. Like, this is a likable guy that just kind of gets it.
Michigan beat people were writing under that video for Vegas. This is so cool. Great job, Notre Dame. Like, the people that hate us were even saying, I'll give it to him. That was creative and cool. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's it's just such a different image too, because it's like, okay, there's ways to go viral. And I hate to keep putting his name in our mouth, but hey, it's the ex-girlfriend effect, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly goes viral because he comes up with the family hillbilly act that makes him look like a moron when he first gets hired. He does that. All of a sudden, he's grinding on tight end recruits and recruiting videos that go viral. And the kid, understandably, a week or 10 days later, goes and he signs a letter of intent in Alabama because he got creeped out by whatever the heck that was, Gomer Pyle trying to grind on him on a video. And then more of the kind of the same of just the dancing and the whatever the heck that thing was in the videos that he was doing. And it's like, okay, there's going viral for good, going viral for bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, just take the two examples. Okay, Brian Kelly wouldn't have done these things at Notre Dame because it was too button up, according to him. All right, well, you can be button up. I don't think that anything was uncomfortable about what Marcus Freeman did in that video with Mayer and with Foskey and with the Golics and whatnot. But that was button up and it was cool. It was viral, and you have a lot of people just saying, hey, that's the best video reveal. That's the coolest college football video I've seen.
But it's just never in your life could you dream that would ever happen with Kelly. Like, it would have just never. None of that social media
dressing like a leprechaun or walking like a weirdo or whatever the heck he did. Like,
he's a different
Kelly and comfortable like mixed like oil and water. It just doesn't go hand in hand. It's just not possible to have two in the same place.
Yeah. So I just think overall, this I took the video on its surface as a cool production, but the whole time I was watching it, I was thinking, this is just the next thing that shows you how modern and progressive they're getting, and hip and with it and cool and fun and laid back, and just I can't calculate it, but I can't measure it. But I think that stuff, just those little things all add up to be not little in the end when it might matter. Like, but I can't measure it, but I just think it and I feel it. And I just think this vibe is one that we haven't seen in Notre Dame. And I just can't wait to see it play out and have a chance to play out.
Yeah, the excitement for this, I keep going back to it. It's like, I do not know the last time, maybe 2006, like maybe, I don't know the last year I was this excited for a individual Notre Dame team. And who knows what happens week 1 against Ohio State. Things go like they did for Michigan State when they went to the Horseshoe last year, and you're down 49-0 at halftime or whatever the heck it was. And maybe all my thoughts come back and I'm eating my words, but I have not been this excited since I was a little damn kid for Notre Dame football. And it's a lot about this year, but it's also about this is the start of something new, and this new is going to be special.
Here's the difference, though. You always get a new excitement bump the off season going into a new coach and a new staff, no matter what, just because it's something new. And there's always a lot of intrigue. But I don't think this is like just naive hope that this will be good. I think we're seeing a lot of actual practical markers that indicate a lot of progress is being made in a lot of areas. And so that gives me some comfort with my excitement about all of this, ushering in this new era. I just see a lot of structural things that have already been way upgraded. And I just see that paying off. Ohio State result, be damned. You know, I could even say year 1 with all of Kelly's inadequate roster in certain places, whatever. But like, I'm just ready to get this going. Everybody's just getting antsy